This is He Knows the Sport, bringing you that heat and that fart. We keeping a foot on the what on the Knicks. We keeping a foot on the what on the Knicks. And like the Tibetan mastiff that I am, I'm applying what? Unlimited pressure. Because pressure does what? It bursts his pipes. Let's talk about it, man. See, it's okay for people to want to accept that He Knows the Sport is universally a guy that knows what he's talking about. When He Knows the Sport tells you something, he's always speaking from a position of strength. See, I never speak from a position of weakness, because me and weakness, we don't understand each other. I always speak from a position of strength. This is the power of He Knows the Sport. And I get it. A lot of men out there, they don't want to admit that He Knows the Sport is right. They don't want to admit that He Knows the Sport is always on the thumb, the needle, and the wave of the damn situation. It really kind of showcases the insecurity and the misery in their manhood. It showcases holes in their fucking manhood. Because real men just say, you know what, He knows, salute to you, though. You always on the damn thumb, always on the needle, and always on the wave of the situation. But plenty of people have called He Knows the Sport weird. They've called him crazy. They've called him a guy that, you know, he's biased. A guy that, you know, he just kind of creates narratives, and he just creates this and creates that. That is what you call pure beta supreme haterisms and trollisms. Because anybody that's been following the platform from day one, they understand that He Knows the Sport is always authentic and consistent. I don't do pandering narratives. I told you guys about pandering narratives. Pandering narratives, they have a ceiling cap. Once it goes up, woo, the motherfucker must come tumbling down. Let me say it again. Once it goes up, woo, the motherfucker must come tumbling down. What He Knows the Sport does in absolution and resolution is called cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat Truthteller fashion. And what was the truth? Deontay Wilder took a paid to lose. Deontay Wilder was not Deontay Wilder. He Knows the Sport is the guy that's always going to say the hardest line, the hardest question, and the hardest inquiry in any sport. Because this is what it's called to be an ultimate truth teller. This is what it's called to come in truth-telling fashion. You ask truth-telling questions. You make truth-telling statements. The truth hurts, but it will set you free. And those whom the truth set free are free indeed. The truth is what it is, man. And the truth will always have its day. Because the truth is supreme above all. The truth is superior to all. The truth is what it is. Truth. Deontay Wilder is now in a pleading situation. This is why pay to lose does not pay off for black fighters. Floyd never took the pay to lose. Earl ain't taking no damn pay to lose. Andre Ward never took a pay to lose, because they understand. Andre Ward was willing to go into boxing litigations, boxing legality issues. You guys want to understand the darkness behind that? It's because they were trying to get Andre Ward to take a pay to lose. That was really the biggest gist of it. Andre Ward was like, fuck y'all. I'm not taking no pay to lose. As a black fighter, taking a pay to lose is a two-edged sword. Because the first end of the sword is you got to deal with the fact that you're going to be basically clowned. You're going to basically be ethered and murked because of the way you lost, even though it's a pay to lose. Because boxing is a three-pronged monster: economics, politics, and pugilism. But it's also the element of what pay to lose has behind it. The weight of it, the full gravity of it, the magnitude of it. The fact that pay to lose is what the fuck it is. Pay to fucking lose. And then you're a black fighter on top of that. Andre Ward talked about the double standards that's associated with boxing. Floyd Mayweather talks about it. Earl the True Spence doesn't talk about it. But Deontay Wilder needed money, man. Deontay Wilder was desperate. And instead of Deontay Wilder being a true alpha extraordinaire governed by true alpha economics and say, you know what? I'm not going to look at the short term. I'm going to look at the long term. Deontay Wilder opted for the short term. And he listened to a bunch of pure fucking beta supremes. They basically pushed his career as of late. And because of that, Deontay Wilder ended in the gutter of where he ended to. And this right here showcases to you guys what He Knows the Sport was saying. And a prediction, King Structure. And a prediction, King Structure. And that Al Haymon does not deal with these boxers' day-to-day affairs. Al Heyman does not make any final decisions. Al Heyman does not sit here and put a gun to your head and tell you how you should govern your affairs. You have your own LLC for that. You have your own promotional company for that. You have your own business for that. Al Haymon is an advisor, so his job is to advise you. Now, whether if the advisement is something that you choose to have in your favor or not, that's on you. That's on your Rudy Poo and Plump on Brain self. That's on your classic dope and troglodyte self. That's on your ultra fanboy with the ultra fanboy rhetoric self. It has nothing to do with Al Haymon. Because at the end of the day, Uncle Al does what's called Uncle Al transactions. That means be the shrewdest businessman in the fucking sport. So in this most cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat Truthteller fashion, Bob Arum and Frank Warren was able to pimp Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is one of these guys that can be easily led astray, because you guys have to understand, he even considered going against the grain of PBC and either signing with Eddie Hearn or signing with Top Rank. He entertained all of these motherfuckers. Lou DiBella, he entertained all of them because Deontay Wilder, his fallacy, his issue was he was looking for a big payday. And see, when you look for money and you're not looking for the bigger picture, which is what's called financial independence. There's a difference between money and financial independence. Financial independence can cause you to take losses like nobody's business until you actually get to the position to where you can generate the wealth. And then there's what we call situations where you look for the money, you look for the short term. Deontay Wilder has done nothing different than what a lot of black people suffer from, which is looking at the short term, which is looking at, you know what? I need something to give me credibility. I need something to give me credence. I need something to show that I'm worth something. And they look at the short term instead of the long term. This is what Deontay Wilder has been subjugated to. This is what Deontay Wilder is guilty of. This is what Deontay Wilder's fallacy and issue is. Deontay Wilder has accepted the fact that paid to lose had to happen to him in order for him to be in Forbes' book. But guess what? Forbes runs a calendar every fucking year. So in looking at the short term of 2020, what happened in 2021? Is he on Forbes? No. Because it's a things that make you say, It's a things that make you say, You know, since what was telling you guys, something was wrong with Deontay Wilder. Bronze Bomber was not activated. He been said it after the Wilder and Fury fight. There was no athleticism. There was no explosion. There was no, basically, Deontay Wilder being who he is at his core. Deontay Wilder, i.e. Bronze Bomber. Where was it? So when He Knows the Sport tells you guys these things in its most cold-hearted, in its most unadulterated, in its most cutthroat Truthteller fashion, like a turkey, you're learning. Gobble that shit up. Because when somebody is above the fray, when somebody operates like a He Knows the Sport and Sun Tzu, aka Art of War, 7 steps ahead of the game, 48 laws of power on that ass, and is basically ahead of the fray and basically understands how to govern all affairs, then accept it. Because He Knows the Sport understands what goes on beyond the scenes. I'm not a regular cat, nor do I think regular, nor do I reside in regular realms. So if I'm not regular, I'm not thinking regular. I'm always thinking above regular. And what is the opposite of regular? Special. So special begets special. And what Deontay Wilder showed in Wilder and Fury 2 was nothing that was special. What he showed was everything that was regular about his beta ways. And He Knows the Sport told you, for every yin, there's a fucking yang. For every alpha, there's a fucking beta. And what Deontay Wilder did is Deontay Wilder activated his fucking beta. Because Deontay Wilder, at the core of who he is an alpha. But alphas can go into precarious beta ways. They can go into precarious beta situations. And look at Mauricio Solomon. Look at Bob Arum. Look at Frank Warren. This is what they do when a black person takes a pay to lose. Now the magistrates, i.e. the bosses, this is spiritual old English for the bosses, the authority figures, the ones that run the fucking sport. They tell Deontay Wilder when you deserve a third fucking fight. But if you didn't take a pay to lose, you would be ahead of the fray. Why do you think they hate Floyd Mayweather so much? Because Floyd Mayweather is not going to answer to these motherfuckers. Because Floyd Mayweather doesn't look at the short term, he looks at the long term. It's like Al Heyman taught Floyd and he taught Earl the True Spence. And Andre Ward had a father in the home that taught him principles of absolution and resolution. This is why Andre Ward is unwaver fucking. But Deontay Wilder didn't have a father in the home. It's the things that make you say. It's the things that make you say. He didn't have a father in the home. So this is why you could see the pure beta supreme waves were activated. Activation of pure beta supreme waves was there, and it was denoted. And what did it show? It showed a guy that made beta moves. And this paid to lose, I told you, it's a permanent stain on his boxing resume. No matter how he comes back, because he lost to a cracky ass crackhead, man. You don't come back from shit like that. This is why it didn't pay off for this motherfucker to take the pay to lose. And if fight fans are being honest with themselves and they're being for real, they have to see this for what it is. And they try to have the audacity, and i.e. the LDBC, and i.e. black community fan bases, to tell you that Deontay Wilder is the cash cow boxing. Cash cow boxing don't make moves like this. Earl the True Spence is the cash cow boxing because look what he did. Sized up Vlad TV because he saw the bullshit and the fuck shit that Vlad TV was trying to do. Sized up Nursit Goki, a fucking pure beta supreme suspect motherfucker that was trying to get him to basically do suspect shit. Because that's what suspect individuals do. How does a grown man look feeding another fucking grown man? See, Earl the True Spence sees right through the shit. Because Earl the True Spence is a true alpha extraordinaire governed by true alpha economics. Through and through, line upon line, and precept upon precept. He knows what sport is. That's why he knows the sport can test and try the spirits to know if they are alpha-like or if they are beta-like. You're not going to get no more ultimate alpha than he knows the sport. So he knows the sport is the final authority on everything that's related to alpha lineage. So when I sit here and tell you guys something is off, like a turkey, gobble that shit off. Because something is off. And something was off with Deontay Wilder. Don't you guys see each and every time news comes out, who does it confirm? He knows the sport. That's bringing you that what? That heat and that fart. And keeping the foot on the what? On the X. And keeping the foot on the what? On the X. And like the Tibetan master that he is, he's applying what? Unlimited pressure. Because pressure does what? It bursts his pipes. It'll lose to he knows the sport. It'll lose to what he knows the sport is telling you. And it'll lose to the ultimate facts that he knows the sport is always on the thumb, the wave, the needle, and the curve of the damn situation. And what did he knows the sport tell you guys? Deontay Wilder took a pay to fucking lose. And when you take a pay to lose, you got to deal with the ramifications of a pay to lose. That's the cool part. That's the underdog training. That's the Truthteller fashion. I keep the foot on the what? X. I keep the foot on the what? X. This is He Knows the Sport. Check it out.